Hey guys, so I'm back with another vanity video because here's the deal. I've been getting a lot of personal messages on YouTube and a lot of comments asking a bunch of little things about my vanity and how I put it together and all that stuff, which is okay because I wanted you guys to ask questions. But I found a lot of the questions were getting very repetitive, so I thought, hey, why don't I just make a video and answer all these questions in one video, because it's bound to happen that more of these questions are going to come up. So in this video, I'm just going to show you pretty much the behind the scenes, I guess, kind of stuff about my vanity. And just talk about things in terms of wiring, placement of the vanity bars, and the dimmer. I'm getting a lot of questions about, so I'm going to address that. In terms of how I built it, in terms of where the MDF goes, and the extension, and all of that. So if you're interested in that, then you can keep watching. So as you can see behind me, I do have the back side of my vanity. I did turn it around just so you guys would be able to see what the back looks like. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of key details about it. So as you can see, when I was talking about the vanity bars, these are what I was talking about. So this one here is the 4 light, as well as the other side, and this one across the top is the 6 light. So notice too that because of the measurements that I took, there is a little bit of a gap between them, and that was pretty much just so the spacing is even on both sides, in terms of on this side and that side, and that the light bulbs all the way around are the same distance around. So that pretty much was just something I had to measure out. I had to measure the distance between the light bulb sockets, on the 6-bar light, and then pretty much I just had to make up for that difference with whatever was left over here, okay, and between what was over here, so where the socket is. So this is essentially what it looks like in the back, and I'll be completely honest, guys, I'm just gonna pick you up for a second. So yeah, this is what it looks like from the back. You know, just you can see all the bars and all the work and everything that went into it. So literally what you're doing is the holes that you drilled, that is where the sockets are coming out of. So there's no extra adhesive or anything on the back of the actual vanity bar lights. There's no actual adhesive. The only thing that's holding it in is these caps that are around the light bulb. Sorry, it's only like that's the only thing holding it in. But it's tight enough in the hole there that they don't move around. So I'm actually really happy with how that came out. So then, I'm going to talk about the wiring, because I know that is a very big question that a lot of you have. Well, I'm just going to put you down here. Okay, so what you're going to do, essentially there's a couple of wires you need to know, like when it comes to, these kind of wiring and everything. Okay, you have your ground wire, which is going to be the loose copper wire. A lot of people ignore that, but I just chose to go with it for this one just from better safety reasons. You have the neutral wire and you have the hot wire. Okay, and usually the hot wire is the one that has the writing on it. The neutral wire is just a wire in itself. So essentially what you do, well, what I did in this case, is I pretty much connected the hot, the neutral, and the ground wire from this vanity bar to this vanity bar. And I took a piece of the lamp cord, because remember I said that I originally bought a lamp cord. I think it was about 12 feet long, if I'm not wrong, or something like that. So I cut a piece that I knew would be big enough to connect all of these. So pretty much what I did was I connected the hot wire of the lamp cord to the hot wire here. I did the neutral to the neutral over here. And then ground we worried about after. So, but if you really, really want, you can just leave ground. It's no big deal. I just connected them just because. So yeah, you connect them. So as you can see over here, okay, you have the neutral wire. No, sorry, you have the hot wire here, sorry. The hot wire connected to the hot wire of the lamp cord. And again, like I said, it's the one with the writing on it for the lamp cord. Okay, and I'll see like over here, I connected the neutral with the neutral. And you have the plug on it. I forgot what they're called. I think called like Marriott's or something like that. But that's pretty much what you have to do. You have to twist the wires together. You have to cap it off. Okay? And these actually came with the vanity bar lights, so it was okay. And you put electrical tape around it just to hold that joint together. Make sure there's no exposed wires because that could be a fire hazard. So make sure all exposed wires are wrapped up in electrical tape and has the Mariette on it. Yep, so I connected that obviously up to the top vanity bar over here. And it's the same thing, hot with hot, neutral with neutral. Okay. And I also extended it, of course, because you have to keep on cutting the wires at this point, like the lamp cord, in order to get it to go like nicely like that. So then I took another piece and I connected the hot to hot for that bar, and then the neutral to neutral to that bar as well. And like I said before, you always want to make sure you cap it. You do not leave the loose ends exposed. Okay guys, so I'm going to try to do my best not to move around too much, but I'm going to talk about the dimmer now, because I know that's been a very big question. So as you can see over, hold on one sec, over here, you can see this is where I attached the neutral and the hot wires together. Now I'll talk about the ground wire just really quick. I attached the ground wires to each other with some, just some extra wire that I had hanging around, just the exposed wire. So you connected it all together, and then obviously you cap it off the same way, but you don't really have to use the electrical tape on this one. So do that, and now it comes to the dimmer. So as you know, I pre-cut the hole that the electrical box fit into. So this actually is separate from the dimmer. The dimmer sits inside this box, with all the wires. So pretty much what you have to do is, let's see if you can, I don't know, I can't really get a good view of the dimmer, I'm sorry. But pretty much what you have to do is you just have to sit the dimmer inside, and you want one that's very deep. You want an electrical box that's really deep so you have a lot of room to move around with the wires. I think mine is, 2 inches, like 2 inches, 2.5 inches, something like that. So I think that was the deepest I could find at the time, and I found it worked pretty okay. If you can find one that's a little bit deeper, even better. You just got to make sure that it's deep enough. So what you do then, on the dimmer, there's going to be ports, if you want to call it. There's going to be ports on the dimmer. And there's going to be one for hot and one for neutral. Okay, so obviously, like I said, you just connect the hot wire to the hot wire and the neutral wire to the neutral wire. The one that I got did not have a ground wire. So the ground one, I actually just ended up attaching it to the box itself, which is okay. Because the ground wire doesn't really do much in that sense. There's not enough voltage running through it to really be a hazard. So you can follow this wire right into the top here, and you can see there's a hole through it, and that's where the hot and the neutral wires go in, and you just attach it to the ports that are on the dimmer. And again, you just want to make sure they're screwed down tightly, no exposed wires. That's really the big thing. Do not leave the ends exposed. So once those were hooked up to the wires in there, okay, you just have to pretty much just put the dimmer side. Obviously, this back part comes off of the dimmer box, so we have to screw that back on. So yeah, you just gotta attach it all like that, and then obviously from the hot and the neutral wire ports, you want to take more lamp cord, so cut off another piece, obviously attach it to their corresponding ports, and this lamp cord from the dimmer, so that's going to be the one that gets plugged into your wall. Okay, so you just want to make like an excess. I can't even show you. Okay, this is just along the back side, remember, so no one sees this. So I just keep all the excess lamp cord in here, in this part. And I'll back up a little bit just to give you a overall full view as to what's going on back there. Sorry guys, I'm using my webcam for this because my actual camera doesn't work very well, but hopefully you guys get the idea as to what's going on. Obviously this big part over here is the mirror, all of this, and this bottom part here is the extension of the shelf. So, as you can see, it's all hollow in here. Sorry. It's all hollow in here. Like I said, just the extension. So, in terms of actually building the vanity, like I said, I used 2 different types of MDF. I used one that was 1/2 inch thick and one that was 5/8 of an inch thick. So I'll tell you what I used for what. The 1/2 inch, is what I used to create the actual frame part. So this front part, just the front part of the frame here, that is what the 1/2 inch is used for, just all this front part. Now what I did I'll see if I can find a picture of it on my phone or iPod or whatever, because I think I took a picture of how I cut it out to look, right? Because what I did was I made this, like, obviously the frame part here, this front part, as well as that's what I made the extension over here. I don't know if you can see this little part over here that's 1/2 inch thick over there. That is all connected to that. So pretty much I made a square on top of a rectangle. If you can picture that. I'll try to find a picture and post it up. So that's essentially what I use the 1/2 inch for. And I also use the 1/2 inch to make the bottom part of my drawers. And I think actually that's it. That's all I use the 1/2 inch for. But seeing as how big this is, it takes up most of it anyway. The 5/8 of an inch one was pretty much everything used for support. So this extension over here, this is all the 5/8 inch. See, so you can see the thickness of it. So that's going all the way around the sides, top and the bottom, like I said, for support. And even at the bottom here in this extension from the shelf, that is all the 5/8 of an inch thick MDF as well. And obviously measurements were taken accordingly. In terms of how thick this is, this piece over here, the actual thickness of this is 4 inches. And I chose 4 inches because with the dimmer box, I had to make sure it fit in nicely, as well as I had to make sure that the plate that covers the dimmer on the outside, so the white plate that you see when you actually turn on the dimmer and everything, I had to make sure that it was wide enough for that as well. And I found that 4 inches was a good number to use, so it's 4 inches. So in case any of you were wondering, that's what it is. In terms of the bottom extension here, I mean, I just had to make a piece here. This is also from the 5/8 of an inch thick, just to fill in the gap over here, so it just pretty much looks continuous, well, at least more continuous with the actual shelf. So yeah, that's pretty much what the behind area of my vanity looks like. And obviously over here, I drilled a hole just to make the lime cord run through to keep it all neat instead of having it like piled up, along the back over here, because then it gets messy, and with all the other wires, I just didn't want to deal with it. So I just put it, under here. Right, another common question I got asked with both the comments and the inbox was how I attach the mirror onto the actual MDF. Because there's no hole or anything in the MDF for the mirror to sit in, it's actually glued right on. And in order to attach it, I use silicone. And silicone you can get really at any hardware store. I got mine from Lowe's. And they come in a cylindrical container with a spout, and you have to buy this, I don't even know what it's called really. It's just this metal thing that you use to squeeze the silicone tube just to get it to come out. Dry, so I just put a generous amount of silicone. I put it in the area it was supposed to go, so right in the middle, and I just let it dry overnight. And silicone, I find, is really strong. It literally binds to, like, everything. And it's really strong. Like, you can see, guys, like, I'm trying to pick at it now. It's just not moving at all. And so that's pretty much how I attach the mirror. And like I said, it's pretty much just all about measurements. You want to make sure you go all the way around, get even measurements on either side to make sure that the mirror is right in the middle. Okay, guys, so another common question that I got asked was how I attach the shelf to the actual mirror unit. So obviously all the attachment goes along here. Remember how I was saying earlier that my entire mirror frame here, essentially along the bottom there's like another rectangle piece going along. That's pretty much what I attached the shelf to. I made the rectangle piece the same height as the shelf. So literally when you look at it from the bottom, we can see like some support beams under there. When you look at it from the bottom, it pretty much lies flush. So what happened was I used some wood glue along the edges of the actual shelf, because as you know, the shelf, it was hollow originally. And that glue is what holds it on. So as you can see now, there is a backing, and that's pretty much like the backing over here of the shelf. That is all of that extra rectangle piece there. So I used the wood glue to hold that into place. But as well, not only did I do that, but I have these support beams under here. Oh, wait, sorry. I can't even find them now. There they are. I have these support beams under here. I don't know really how well you can see them because it's kind of dark, but I have one in the middle, and I have one there, and then one on the other side as well. And these support beams, these are what also holds the shelf. So these support beams are actually screwed into the mirror part, and they extend into the shelf part. And I was careful to pick screws that would not pierce through the shelf. So pretty much now it's all one piece. So pretty much this piece over here, this beam, is what connects both the shelf to the mirror unit, and this holds it as well as the wood glue that I used to attach it. Obviously, like I said, this is screwed in. The shelf is attached to the actual mirror unit with the wood glue. So this, in combination with that, is what gives it its support. So that's pretty much how I made it supportive in that way. Quickly on the legs now, this is what they look like screwed in from underneath. Like I said before, actually I don't know if I mentioned in the comments in my other video, but the screws that these legs came with are actually too long, and if you were to use them, you would pierce right through the shelf. And clearly no one wants that. So I actually had shorter screws in my house originally. I think these ones were about, I'd say maybe a little less than an inch or about an inch, roughly in that ballpark. And these are the screws that I used to screw them in because obviously they're strong and everything, and they don't pierce through to the other side of the shelf. So really good for that. Good tip. Keep that in mind if you plan on using legs from IKEA. Right, and the last thing I'm really going to talk about in this video is the construction of the drawers themselves, because I have gotten a couple of questions asking how to put them together exactly. Really, it was really easy. For the drawers, I just used whatever was left over from the 5/8 of an inch thick MDF. So that's pretty much everything the drawer's made of, and obviously the 1/2 inch thick. And one more thing to add real quick, the beams I showed you on the bottom for support, those were also from the leftover MDF that was 5/8 thick. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, the drawers, that's pretty much what they're made of. And I literally just took the measurements of the bottom, and I remember I had to keep in mind that when making the drawers and stuff, and with any measurements pretty much for this vanity, you have to keep in mind the thickness of the boards that you're using, because not everything's paper, so you have to give way for the thickness of certain items. Like for example, in terms of the length of this part over here of the drawer, I have to keep in mind both, well, first obviously I have to measure this part, like the whole depth of the shelf in itself, so I have to keep that in mind, and I have to subtract the thickness of the board running across here, that's the front, and I have to take off the thickness of the board running along the back. So you have to keep all that in mind when you are constructing this. But literally, all I used for the drawers was a bunch of wood glue, of course. I used a lot of wood glue. I used the nail gun. I just screwed in the handles, no big deal. And I just made sure that they fit perfectly. So that's pretty much how I made the drawers. So guys, there you have it. That is pretty much how I put my my vanity together. Hopefully I answered a bunch of your questions. If you had any, please let me know if you have any more questions. I'd be happy to answer them. But yeah, hopefully now that you've seen what it looks like, maybe you can better visualize it if you ever want to do something like this. Well, yeah, now that you've seen it, you know kind of what to expect. You kind of know how it's supposed to look. So yeah, if you have any more questions, you know, feel free, like I said, send me a personal message, comment, I mean, everything. You can just ask me. I'm more than happy to answer. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was helpful to all of you who are thinking about making this kind of vanity. I'll talk to you guys later.